So, right, we're on to the next stage of the thing now. So, introducing Neil Pilbrow. So, it was going to be Jim's pleasure to introduce Neil tonight. As Jim is unable to be with us tonight, the honour falls upon me. I've been given this instruction by Jim to read out to you. So, Jim Pearce's enthusiasm for this 50th reunion today started last year when we learnt that Neil Pilbrow was the South Country Tramping Club founding president in 1972. Jim went to school in Temuka with Neil, and in January 1963 they completed their Boy Scouts first class journey together with a 14-mile overnight tramp around Waitawi and the Temuka rivers. Tramping has been a significant part of their lives over the last 60 years, and we look forward to hearing about Neil's early days with the South Country Tramping Club. Welcome back, Neil, along with some of the other founding members here tonight, Jim Pearce. So, Neil, over to you.
Thank you. President John, members past and present, Jan and guests, and thanks for reading out Jim's intro. I'm sure Jim will really be sorry that he isn't here, so it would have been good to have caught up with him again. Okay, I'm going to recount a few memories about the club. Looking for the forward arrow here, there we go. So how did the club start? Some would say, why did it start? But it did. It was a notice put in the Timaru Herald from a group of people in Mountain Safety Council, Search and Rescue, Alpine Club and Deer Stalkers outdoor people. They had a little subcommittee going to coordinate the actions of these clubs. So they thought a tramping club would be sorely needed in Timaru, and indeed it was. So they put an ad in the Herald, and 100 folk turned up. I was there, I was staggered at the response, and I thought, wow, surely out of this 100 there's going to be a handful that'll want to form a tramping club. And looking around the room I could see a lot of them were girls. I thought, this is looking even better. And the speakers there spoke of all the attributes of a good tramping club: running trips, organising instruction, camaraderie and so forth. And the show of hands was taken, who would be interested, and lots of hands went up, so this is even better still. Then the speaker asked for a volunteer to coordinate a steering group to form the club. Well, you could have heard a pin drop. Everybody's eyes averted, nobody looked the speaker in the eye. I looked around, oh golly, this isn't going to even get off the ground. And he asked again, volunteer. So I thought, well, in my year or two prior I'd been a student in the Hutt Valley in the North Island, and I'd been involved with the Hutt Valley Tramping Club, so I'd seen firsthand how an excellent tramping club was organised and how they ran their trips, organised their meetings and so forth. So I thought, well, I know a bit about this, so I put my hand up, and then slowly one or two other hands went up in the room, and before a minute or two we had half a dozen eager people who were prepared to form a steering committee to get it going. So heaved a sigh of relief. A month later, the steering group organised another public meeting, and in the meantime we'd sorted out what we needed to do to organise a tramping club. This was in December of '71, and again a good crowd of people came along. We took people's names and contact phone numbers, and the first formal trip was organised. Oh, I've gone the wrong way. I have to learn how to drive this thing. There we go. Yeah, so as I say, public meetings. organised the first trip. One of the important things to do setting up a club is to get a constitution, because that's important to protect the committee members and also the members of the club. It gives legal protection from various decisions that are made so that people are not individually liable. Another thing I was very strong on is that we should affiliate with FMC from day one, because I was very aware of the good work FMC had been doing on behalf of trampers and climbers, getting access to the hills and maintaining huts. And I'm thrilled to see the club's still going today. Now, some things have changed, and I put a few things in my pack of things that have changed, that part of the memories that I have from back in the 70s tramping, but I see others have had similar thoughts, because down in the corner there's also lots of things from way back, of things that have indeed changed. So I might duplicate some, but we'll have a look at one or two things. And the first thing, when I get my list to make sure I'm bringing out the first thing and not the last thing. First thing to talk about is the changes in boots. Back in the day, the only boots you could get were farm boots. The popular ones were John Bull, D-ring, cow bailers. Quite heavy, but sturdy and strong, and they would last forever and hurt your feet. Take several trips to break in. What else have I got here? I've got my, you wonder why I still had my trusty Japara parka. A real fashion statement in those days, because that was about the only thing you could buy to wear. Good old Japara parka. Might need it tomorrow by the look of the weather forecast. Right, Billy. There's some good Billies down the back here. This is one from 1972. The advantage of a billy is that when you're making a cup of tea, you can swing it to get the tea leaves to the bottom to get a better cup of tea. Now contrast that with the modern billy. Of course, it's a lot lighter, but where's the handle to swing it? And of course, there's nothing to pick it up with, so thank goodness the spondonical had already been invented, good for picking up the billy, but essential for these modern contraptions. Okay, on that very first tramp, we did what we always did when we went tramping back then, is pre-D-high days. You took a carrot, a spud, and an onion, and a bit of meat, and you had your ingredients for a stew.
1972 carrot there.
It looks a bit like it. Yeah. The D-high was available, D-high minced, and it was pretty cardboardy like sawdust, and it didn't do a great deal for your digestive system. Quite musical in the night. What we did have back then was dry milk, but it was not instant at all. And if you remember, when you added water to it, it immediately sprang into great lumps. You couldn't just put it in your tea and stir it. So getting the lumps out of the milk powder was a problem, but thank goodness today it's instant. Because you need that for the instant pudding, which was about the only dessert you could do easily. But today with D-high, all sorts of amazing flavours, you know, apple, apricot crumble, we could never have dreamt of that back in the day. And of course a Maggi soup back then took 15 or 20 minutes to boil, if you didn't boil it over. But today, a cup of soup, you've got a hot drink straight away. And of course your eating irons, were literally eating irons. Came in little sets, quite heavy, a bit over-engineered because they'll never wear out.
Did yours have handles on them?
It used to have a thing to clip them together. It fell off. Now I've got a rubber band. But today this is all you need. A fraction of the weight, a spoon, fork, and sort of a cutting thing, a spork. Okay, so what did we used to put our food in those days? Well, See somebody recognises these things. M&B tins. You go down to before your trip, down to the chemist shop, get all your supplies, get your sunscreen and some band-aids, and you'd ask the chemist, does he have any spare M&B tins? And you'd come back out with a box and you'd help yourself. So you get a decent sized one to put your porridge in, and you get a slightly little one to perhaps put your milk powder in. You get a slightly little one to put some sugar for your porridge, a slightly little one again, and you might put some cocoa in there. You might have another bigger one to put some tea leaves in as well, and a littler one to put something else in, and maybe another one to perhaps put some salt in, and finally your last one, you might put some pepper or something in there. So, what more could you want? So what do we use today? We use snap-lock bags, and just about everything you buy in the supermarket comes in a screw-top plastic jar these days, so you're never short of a container of this sort of range to put stuff in. Don't know what happens when plastic gets banned. We might have to go back to M&B tins. But these have lasted 50 years, whereas I don't think modern plastic is going to last that long. Okay, now,
Tupperware.
yeah. Spotty bowl. You didn't have a spotty bowl, you weren't in the inside crowd. And they were actually pretty good, pretty indestructible and light. But today, of course, it's modern material. You can screw it up and you stuff it in a wee tiny crevice in your pack. So that's some advantage. That's what's changed there. All right. Woolen clothing. The woolen clothing in those days was made of real wool, and it was thick. Last the journey. Scott probably wore a balaclava that looked a bit like that.